Well, it's good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a little while.
Good to see you too. I feel like I ran into one of you, Dave. Was it you I ran into at AFT?
Yeah.
And Tanner, were you there?
No, I wasn't there.
Okay, got it.
We
Yeah. So
just had baby, and so we were in the all-nighter portion of that. So yeah, I
what?
could sleep most of the night now. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Tanner, I didn't know you had a baby.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We're at 2 months, man. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. I was laughing at the ghost thing because we keep putting her in these like sleep outfits that have like the long tail, and so we call her Casper.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bind her arms.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty
It's the
cool.
only hope of getting to sleep at night these days. I don't know what they did back in your day,
I have
Dave,
no idea.
but yeah, but they're like, this is how you get them to sleep.
Yes. Yeah. We've been doing all the things, man.
The
I
best
wouldn't
part.
say I'm a pro, but I have a lot of experience.
I was going to say the best part is the people that know the most are the ones that are just about to have a baby.
You don't know.
Oh yeah,
Although
always.
I had one.
That's right.
They're Googling everything, right?
Yeah, man.
Hell.
It's the same in banking and in fintech, right? The people that know everything are the ones that have never done it.
Exactly.
And then it's the people that are in it that are like, I don't know what the heck's going on, but I'll try and do my best.
Yeah. I always tell everybody it looks like I know a lot because of all the mistakes that I've made.
It makes a hell of a lot of sense to people in the game.
Right.
You're like,
Exactly.
I get it now.
Well, you've been busy,
Yeah.
man. Probably why I haven't seen more of you. It's like you're absolutely everywhere. You guys are running around, new stuff out all the time. Tell us what's been going on, man.
Yeah. So we just got news that we won our fourth top 10 financial institution in the United States a couple Fridays ago. Is this already being recorded?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, cool. So anyway, I can't share their name yet publicly, but we just won our fourth top 10 financial institution. So that's exciting. And we're the only one in our space with a top 10 financial institution. And we've got 4 out of 10. So it's super exciting.
That's like game over. Yeah, you killed him, man. That's awesome. Way to go.
Hopefully so. It doesn't feel like it's game over. Every deal feels like you're getting just,
I get it. I get it. Yep.
but
Yep. Well, so tell me
yeah.
about the new thing. The card thing. Is it PayLink?
Yep, it is. PayLink.
Tell me about that. I've obviously got the brief overview and I'm like, wow, but I want to hear it from you, man.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, so we've obviously done some things in that space before with our last company, Unbuilt, which we sold to Q2. And, since we started this company, many people have said, hey, can you take another pass at that? We'd love to have you, our current customers. Would you be willing to do that again? And we were just like, we couldn't do any better than the last time. So it wouldn't make any sense for us to go after that and do it again until we developed our TrueAuth technology that gives us the ability to authenticate in these systems without ever getting username and password from a customer. And so they authenticate themselves. And so the beauty of it is, if you think about on your phone, do you have Amazon, Uber, Lyft passwords stored on the device? For direct deposit switching for payroll systems, it's much less common to have that stored on the device. But for payment switching, most of those usernames and passwords live on the device. And so when we sit in the middle, our legacy technology sits in the middle where we get username password, it goes up to our server, encrypted, blah, 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 blah. And then it goes out to a system and then authenticates with it, right? But when we don't sit in the middle of it and the consumer goes direct to the merchant or direct to the payroll system, we get a much better conversion rate. We obviously never get username and password. So from an InfoSec standpoint, it's beautiful. And I say it's a key reason why we're winning a lot of these top banks.
Hey,
And then in addition, yeah, go ahead.
can we take like a massive step backwards and let's talk to somebody that doesn't know what in the world you do or what it is that you do? And we're already talking about the new stuff here. Can we kind of level set?
Sure. Yeah. So, if you look at us, especially in light of like 1033 recent drop that we saw, the CFPB is saying it has to be easy for consumers to switch bank relationships in the United States. That's how they want to promote competition. And so if you think about Atomic, you can think about Atomic in that lens of Atomic is there to be the platform to make it easier for consumers to switch their banking relationship. So there are two things that come into that. First, your income, and that usually for most Americans, it comes in via direct deposit. And then the other side is your payment obligations. And so those two products come together. That's a new product that Tanner was talking about, as well as our direct deposit switching solution. Those two products come together to create a solution that allows people to switch their income source to a new bank and then switch all their payment flows from the old bank to the new card, debit, checking account, whatever it is.
Perfect. Okay. So if you caught what we were saying early in the game, he's got a bunch of big banks doing this. And I think we're doing our best right now to put a heavy push on bankers understanding 1033. Guys, it is big set match. It's over. So here's the deal. You're going to be an aggressive bank, or you're going to be a passive bank that everybody takes things from.
And it might be the last.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and your company basically puts the bankers on offense.
It's fair.
Correct. Because, the nice thing is, from everything I'm hearing and what we even saw in 1033, the CFPB isn't saying this is going to become Europe and you have to make everything. If a customer says, I want to move to bank B, you don't have to unplug and plug them into bank B. And that's not what we seem to be seeing so far. It's just, you have to make it easy for people to switch. And so a lot of the banks we're talking to are like, great, we can only control our tech. So we're going to make it really easy for people to switch to us. And then we're going to be focused on how do we make it easy? How do we make this banking relationship a relationship where in the past, I think most of banking has been focused on keep my money secure. And in the future, I think this will do great things for the consumer, because the bank is going to have to focus on how do we actually help this person be better with their money instead of how do we just keep this person's money secure. And that's a lot of the direction that we're headed. How do we help somebody be better with their money? If they're switching banks, the job to be done framework that they're hiring us to do is help them switch banks, because there's an incentive over there, because there's something about that financial experience is better. We want to help that person be better with their money. But then moving forward, we want to do other things. Like, for example, once we have connectivity into these merchants, subscription management, where like tomorrow we would be able to do something where, imagine if you could align everyone's bills to when they get paid. As an example. So we take your entire month, all your monthly payments, you get paid on the 1st and 15th. We set up all payments to go out on the 2nd and 16th. How is that going to affect cash flow for that consumer? Instead of having sprinkled in throughout the month, and they come to the end of the pay cycle and they've got a $200 bill due, and they're going, oh my gosh, I didn't manage my money well enough in this pay cycle.
Overdraft.
You bet. You bet. I have a question for both of you guys on this topic. So I think we all saw, let's go back in all of our heads, a decade ago to the Mint examples, right? That's how we all think of open banking and aggregators and that whole world, right? And so as we look at 1033 and open banking, there's a lot of, I think, question. And I'll put it this way. I thought I knew until I heard enough smart people ask enough tough questions. And I was like, damn, that's a good question. What's the flow? Yeah, you had a couple. We'll give you that. So think about this. Like, where does the FinTech, the brand aspect come in, Jordan? Thinking about, obviously if we were trying to switch or enroll in a Mint, cool. And I need my bank information, transaction history, profile, whatever. Cool. What about the other way? Right. And what does it matter who the sponsor bank is? Is it really switching if the same FinTech or brand had the same sponsor bank on both sides? Do you see how this just gets like, what is the centricity that we're using? Is it a charter or is it an app or right? It's a maze for me that I don't know that I have an answer to. I don't know if there's supposed to be an answer or if it's just a mess. You guys get what I'm saying?
I'd be interested in Dave's opinion first before mine.
Yeah. First off, when you're a FinTech and you go through a Bass bank, you're pissed at the core because of access and different things, and so it's these moats is what they call them, right? So these moats that have been set up, FinTechs are about to experience for the first time their own moat. Okay. When this FinTech talks to this FinTech and says, hey, I want this information. And here's the unique part about 1033. It is not a blanket set of information. And I think that's a misunderstanding that a lot of people have. It's, I need this, and you have to deliver that. It may not be the same thing every time, but FinTechs don't typically get asked to lower their moat. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, we're completely unprepared for this. Secondly, I think
Agreed.
Another part to this that's important is we talked a minute about offense and defense. This is not, oh my God, community banks are done. This is the first opportunity for community banks and FinTechs and brands to all take money from the big banks. The big banks are the target here. If anybody hadn't seen that yet, that's why they get their ass kicked in a few months and everybody else gets 4 years, right? So there's an opportunity zone for you as a banker to sit back and say, how do I win? What partners of FinTech do I want to partner with? What features maybe I want to add a wealth piece to my bank. Maybe I want to become a direct bank on a particular piece because we've used like FinGoal and those guys to see where the money's actually moving and what's happening. There's opportunities that are out there. And I think your company becomes kind of a hub.
Good call. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's also going to be there are going to be things that come up around, I was talking to 3 or 4 founders that have sold companies in the last few years at Money 2020. And several of them were like, we just are reading every single line of the CFPB's release right now for our next business opportunity. And I think that there's going to be, like you're saying, when regulation like this comes out, there's always opportunity related to it for those that can see it clearly. And I think that will be, we're positioned to take advantage of a big part of it. And I would love for us to become the bank switching platform in the United States for as many banks as possible. Hopefully all banks, just like become that bank switching platform. That would be a thrill for me. And that would be also a huge part of our mission. So that would just be awesome. But also there's so many other aspects of 1033 that I think are going to be in favor. Like you said, just the timelines alone are going to give people some time to be able to think about, what do I want to do that could really change the dynamic here versus some of these larger banks that have some major advantages like cash, which is a huge advantage right now. But I also, the more that I think about it, and I think you guys know, I sit on a bank board and I really enjoy sitting on that bank board and kind of some of the experiences that I've had there. I also just keep thinking about there's an element of having a human on the other side of this and a decision maker that I can speak with that community banks have that, I think of Jill over at Edmonds Bank?
Yeah, Citizens of Edmond.
Citizens of Edmond Bank. Yeah. Like, posting her cell phone online, right? Like, you can text me for like, that's just not, what was that?
Here's my phone number.
Exactly. Right. And like that sort of experience, I think we're still a long way from banking being like everything that I need inside of an app sort of stuff. Right. And so I still have everything set up so that if a wire gets sent out, I get a phone call on every single wire set out from Atomic, just because I'm worried about that sort of stuff. But having the CEO or having the decision maker's cell phone number, this is something that community banks have that is just like anywhere else you go, it's a decision tree for 15 layers to try to get something done that is anything out of the box. And the box is this big, right? And so I think that's a big advantage that small banks have. Yeah. But it's like, that's the advantage that the small banks have that I just think can be taken advantage of more and more.
Yeah, I agree. Look, Halliburton ought to work with JP Morgan, and companies like ours should probably work with a community bank.
That's right. Hey, I think big, by the way.
Yeah, Halliburton big.
We're Halliburton. All right. So we talked about, Jordan, so I've always loved, as you know, the sort of deposit switching side, because it's like, got it. Like, you have your whole like product guide in like 4 words. It's perfect, right? I know there's a lot more, but that side, I think to all of us makes a ton of sense. Go back to the PayLink side and the payment side. And I obviously, with my background, right, in digital and bill pay and everything else, it's like, man, you talk about a nut that we've tried to crack for like a lot of years. Yeah. There's so much from card on file, which we all get. I like to call it recurring interchange. That's fun. And then you've got all the ACH side along with the bill pay providers, mostly owned by the cores today, right?
Yep.
Everything. And that's pretty messy. And there's a pretty nasty cost center there for community banks.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is really good where he's going here. And I want the bankers to understand this. I remember the first time people were talking about, so this guy comes in and sets up an easier way for people to lose my direct deposit. Why the hell would I do that? Right? All right. I think over time, people have understood that a lot better, that it's a two-way street. And back to the concept of 1033, it's no longer an option. You're going to, okay? Yep. It is going to be legislated right down your throat, and you're going to do it. Now, if you understand that piece of this, okay, direct deposit, that makes good sense. But adding in this PayLink piece to this deal, it's the complete circle
Mhm.
and probably the best offensive weapon a bank
Well,
has.
that's actually where I was heading in my fuller circle of, if you look at Jordan's commentary on winning, a number of the larger institutions, they're obviously seeing this the same way that I think all of us would see it, which is, hey, if I'm going to have to do this, I want to be a first mover. I want to blow the doors wide open so that I can get
And-
the inbound as
And
well.
make no mistake, they're going to be the big losers here if the community banks take this opportunity to wake up and get in the game. And they're giving you time to understand and digest this thing. We're not. We're putting it right on you right away.
So
Yeah, agreed.
about that bill pay mess, that whole world of what's evolved and where you guys came from there. I think it's a big story.
Yeah, when we started our first company around this space, what we saw was that, the number of bill pays that people did. So if we think about bill pay as like the check-free sort of bill pay model, right? You in early 2000s, the average consumer was making 10 bill pays a month or something like that, right? Now it's down to some average like 3. It's somewhere in that ballpark, right? And it's getting limited to the really big items. Bill pay is great because it's one of the stickiest products at the bank. Even though a bank pays for it and all this sort of stuff, it is very, very sticky. And we hear a lot of concern about making that easier. But to your point, Dave, it's coming whether you like it or not. And I think the Fiservs and the FISs of the world are going to find that very difficult and painful process to release that data that makes it easy to be able to rip those bill pays out of there. But it's coming whether you like it or not. And so the people that embrace it the fastest and say, I'm going to figure out how to solve this engine right now are going to be able to be the ones that win that battle. But the ones that wait.
The real stickiness is in that payee setup and that payee data, right? And so to your point, if it's opened up and shared, all of a sudden the moat is down. Sorry.
Exactly. Yep. Drawbridge has been dropped. In and out, no problem, right? And so that mode is gone. And so I think that that's something that a lot of banks should be thinking about is, how do we live in a world post that data being made available? And to me, then what that looks like is, I have to become a financial institution that makes somebody, again, better with their money, and not just a transactional relationship that I store cash and is safe. And I think that's the key. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Really cool piece to this too. We've been done one hell of a disservice by a handful of BaaS banks that have really drawn a lot of spotlight, and everybody knows all about it. We called this one a long time ago, that the particular model that has brought everybody down, that was an easy one for
you. Can't outsource compliance to connectors.
All right. So what you got right
Dave,
now?
Dave, can I just add something to that? Like, because it's one thing to say that it was called a long time ago, but there was a prophecy, and I was in a room with the three of, we were together. There was a few other people there. This is like 2019, 2018. And we're like, there has to be this middleman will be disintermediated that sits in between these, because the one that has all the value here is the bank. And so, like, yes, hats off to you, but like that was called a long time ago. And there's nothing like being able to see that coming and saying, this is the right thing to have happen. And now seeing some of it come true. And that's a fun thing.
Well, we want to
just take a moment together to talk.
We actually came close to looking at doing that same.
We were all talking about how do we do this, and then what we looked to the future, we're like, man, we ultimately get blown up because this model can't work.
We called it tic-tac-toe whenever we work one of these things out, and it's like the cores win, the cores win, the cores win, or we all lose.
Speaking of which, high five. I'm glad we all didn't do that.
Yeah. But,
good call.
So it's a little easier for us to see the holes in the market because we kind of looked it through. But that being said, that's not really the point. The point is that because of bad actors, we've got a dark cloud over the word BaaS and FinTech and embedded finance and all these things right now, when this is actually the moment you really had better get off your ass and get in this game. Because you're either going to deliver these cool new products and things from your bank directly or indirectly. And if you're partnering with a FinTech player that can fill a hole in the boat, guys, it's simple. They're a distribution model for deposits to you, right?
That's perfect.
And embedded finance, I want the grocery store to be a distribution model for new deposits. Every customer the grocery store have is not my customer, but they can be.
Here's what I'd say in a one sentence breakout. I would say that BaaS and embedded finance is the next evolution of commercial banking. and you are now delivering, instead of direct relationships to your retail customers, you're selling those direct relationships through your merchants.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And I think too, some of your points into open banking and this whole concept, it's just a furtherment and accelerant to that whole maze, right, of opening things up.
Yes, it is. And
Agreed.
Crazy.
No, I don't think you're crazy. I wanted to hear what else Dave was going to add there, though, because I felt like he had something other. I totally agree, Tanner.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, call a shot here or anything today, and just so much as to say this is a glass half full or glass half empty moment. And for community banks, this is not a moment to sit down and ponder this idea. All I'm asking is educate yourself. Talk to Jordan. Talk to bankers helping bankers. Talk to different people that will give you the facts and let you understand what's going on here and not charge you for it. Okay. You don't have to do anything other than educate yourself, but start now. All right. If you do that, there's two ways this is going to work out. The players that embrace open banking is a term basically of the sharing of information. You can look at this like, oh my gosh, how do I keep them from getting my stuff? You're not going to keep them from getting your stuff. Legally, you're going to have to share it by whoever asks for it. Now, knowing that, I would rather be the asker than the askee.
Totally agree. Yeah. And I really like the game of chess. I play a lot with my kids. And I think that what we're seeing here is that, going to our earlier comments about, you see something in the future and you say it has to end up this way. And I would love to see more bankers coming to those sorts of firm convictions, right? Because I'd rather fail like with a lot of effort and conviction than make the failure of timidity, right? And so if you look at the future and you say, it has to end up this way. And and you argue that with 15, 20, 30, 40 different people. And they're like, and you have a conviction that somebody else doesn't have. And you say, the world has to end up this way. So I'm going to get there before the rest of the world gets there. And if people had looked at this space on the BaaS side, 5, 6, 7 years ago and said, the world has to end up this way, they would have been positioning their bank, like due to your banking, helping bankers and all that sort of stuff that you guys are doing, they would have positioned themselves for this moment. And when it came, it would have been like all hail, right? And so those are the moments that I think you get few chances of that in your career. This new 1033 thing gives you a chance to really understand it, start looking at it deeply and say, what does the world have to look like in 5 years because of this? And I can get ahead of this and put my bank in the position that it has the power to pull it off.
That's the cool part about it is, hey guys, we got a chance here to get ahead of this. And for the first time, take money from the big banks. This is why they're scared to death of this whole process, and the whole idea of it all is like, oh boy, okay. And we get a delayed reaction to this. That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And the point, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, the point of it is not being right? The point is winning when that time arrives. And so, like, for example, at Atomic, a couple of years ago, we started working on this true auth connectivity. It's more like OAuth. And it was, for the first year, it was a total slog. I actually did a graph for my board members. It's like, this is how much Jordan's life sucked over the last 4 years of starting a company. And like at this peak time that it sucked the most, like competition was fierce, like it's crazy. But then we developed this technology, and lo and behold, like our thought was, if we're doing this in a credentialless way, every large bank is going to say to themselves, we can't use anybody else, because we've been on this pedestal for the last 20 years saying nobody should have access to the consumer's credentials. And so over here, we come in with a solution and we say, we don't get it and everybody else does. We thought there's no way that they choose anybody else if we play our cards right. And if we can teach them correctly, right, how this works. So then fast forward, and just so happens that SVB happens. What?
The life sucks part goes down on the graph.
Yeah, this is when life sucks goes down on the graph, right? And 7 of the top 15 banks RFP for a direct deposit solution in 12 months. And there had not been an RFP in that space for 12 years, right? And so it's just like, so it's not about, again, it's about winning and being lucky enough to catch it. And that's because of SVB and everything that happened there and the shift and all that sort of stuff. That's why this happens now. And suddenly you're lucky on timing, and you're lucky that you have the product that every single one of them needs and wants. And I think that's what I hope that the people listening to this are thinking to themselves is like, how do I see the world uniquely, and how do I see it differently? And how do I know that this is the future that's going to happen? I just have to be right. And at some point in the next 5 years, and you have to be patient for it, some market shift is going to happen, and I'm going to be sitting there in perfect timing.
Well, I think
That right there. Yes.
bingo. And the third party agreement, the 1033, there's a bunch of things that have come together right now. And it's Tanner talked about this right before we came on about there's 4 or 5 things that have happened in the last few months. Each one of those is a once a decade kind of change.
Well, and I think what Jordan's talking about, like, oh my gosh, speaking my language so much, man, that I mean, I'm thinking back to that meeting and everybody getting together, and it was like, we saw this future and the one before it. And I think we all would have, had we done what we were talking about, we would have been ultra successful. But ultimately, we saw so far into the likely future that we dodged a bullet. Those are the things that I live for, right? And the stuff that just grinds you down in the day to day of what we all do. I so often feel I'm in conversations where we're not even asking the right questions. We're not even having the right conversation. It's all this tactical, slog.
Yes.
Right? Ugh.
Slog.
And this is what's funny. It's like, Jordan, you know this about me. It's like, I've gotten so addicted to finding those cool rooms and cool conversations where you get a bunch of smart people together and we're all arguing our asses off to talk about a future until we can't argue against each other anymore. And it's like, I will bet you money that is exactly what that future looks like. When you're in those rooms and you have that feeling, it's like, oh, I think we're right. And then you work years. And then when the moment actually comes across, you're like, there was 7 of us that called our shot half a decade ago, right? It is the coolest experience. Yeah. I don't even care to build stuff or do it anymore. I just want to sit in those rooms and have those conversations. It is the most fun thing that there is, So I appreciate everything you're saying.
When you sit on the data that you guys do, when you sit on the data that you guys do, when you have because it requires insights from so many different directions, right? And how can you even, we've had so many conversations over the years that informed my insights. And it's like, I can't even say that my insights today aren't the source of at least 50 different people giving feedback and thoughts to me over the years that are coming into one. And that's, excuse me, I think that's the importance of also, Dave was mentioning this, or Tanner was mentioning this, the importance of surrounding yourself and having these conversations with people that are informing, because I bring something. And I was talking to Ronnie Chapman, who I think you guys know. So talking to Ronnie Chapman just a little while ago, and I was telling him about this experience. He goes, man, I'm sitting down with this guy that runs marketing for Modelo. And we're talking about credit unions or banks or whatever it was. Right. And he's like, and then we say to ourselves, like, man, his comment was, yeah, like, you guys say you do all these things for people, but really, like, how do you make me better with my money? Which is where I came up with that line, right? And I told Ronnie, like, I'm stealing that and I'm using that forever now. But like, that becomes part of you in each one of those conversations and each one of your steps forward.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said, then you source him on a video.
Sorry, what'd you say, Dave?
Dang it.
He said, then you source.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's each one of those things adds to you along the way and helps you be better and form an understanding of what that future is like. And somebody says, oh, I've got data that shows otherwise. And you sit down and you listen to that person and you incorporate that feedback into your future. So anyway.
I want to draw a line here really quick. There's such a difference between, the word data to me, you want to get in a fist fight. That's a fast one for me. We did a survey of, blind people and ask them, whatever it is. And it's like, that's not data. Yeah. Okay. Data is
agreed.
We flip the coin, it's on the ground and it says heads. It's heads. That's data. Okay. There's hard data. And when we try to work out of our thoughts and analysis and everything that we do, and we're mixing technology and financials, and
it's a lot.
And probably one of our best selling things right now is the FinTech analytics stuff, and the regulators want it. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants to understand the full picture. And that's really what we tried to achieve.
Well, the regulatory question right now is between the charter and the FinTech program. And it's like, we built the data in the middle and it's a maze. You know what I mean? It's really hard to keep up with.
But you can't examine the banking industry by financials only. You can't look at it just by technology, and you can't ignore the BaaS and the FinTech world and the embedded finance piece. They're all connected.
And 1033. It's all connected.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Jordan, so much fun. Appreciate you so much. Final thoughts, and please something on PayLink. I know we didn't talk enough about it. We all have too much fun and we get off,
We do,
we get
don't
off topic
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited about it. The little bit that I've heard, it's just, for you, is it going to be another one of those one-liner products that's just, I should have done that, right?
Well, and I think that's like, I talked to a founder recently, and they were like, I was really waffling on whether or not I should start this company.
Mhm.
And then I just realized that there shouldn't be a world in which this product doesn't exist. And in my opinion, in the next 5 years, there isn't a world in which this product doesn't exist, and there shouldn't be a world in which this product doesn't exist, because it just makes sense, right? Like, it's just, you should be able to easily say, pick up from here, move over to here. You just should be able to do that, and that world should exist. And I think the other piece to it is, my co-founder said, coined this much better than I would, but his thought was, when I'm sitting inside of a bank, I should be sitting inside of mission control. I should see myself in NASA, where I can control everything about my financial life. And right now, I sit inside it and I can see a lot about my financial life, but I can't control anything. Control is not part of the equation. It's view is the equation, right? And so that's where we want to take this, where I'm sitting inside of mission control and I can actually take ownership of my financial life by coming in control of my financial life, by coming and saying, you know what, I am getting a little low on expenses. Let me review the subscriptions that are going to be coming out of my account in the next month. And I might pause my Netflix subscription for a period of time. I might switch the pay date for my subscriptions around to my pay date to align with my pay date. I might do all these other sorts of things, but I want to have mission control. I want to be able to reach into every transaction, not every transaction, every merchant or every service that is coming through my banking app. I want to reach in and control those services from here and not force me to go app to app to app to app to app to be able to control that. And I think that's the future that makes complete sense to me, that would exist. And I want to live in a world where it does exist, and I want to make that happen. So that's where we're headed.
We got like David Bowie rolling through my head, ground control.
There you go, man.
But here's the deal. This is going to shock the hell out of everybody. Okay, your snow cone stand has vanilla and chocolate, and my snow cone stand has 10,000 flavors. You know what people want? They want the ability to make choices. And that's what you bring to the table here.
Correct. And not only that, they also want somebody that's like, so think about it. If we're always looking out for them, we say, hey, look, you're overpaying for your cell phone bill. Would you like us to switch you? There have been a lot of people to generate the insight that you're overpaying for a cell phone bill, but there has not been anybody that has said, we'll switch you right now and give you a better financial experience. We're going to help you be better with your money. I've interviewed dozens of people at this point about their money. I interviewed somebody recently who makes about $60,000 a year. She has a $100 a month savings in switching her cell phone provider. She's sitting on a $100 a month, $1,200 a year that she's sitting on, she has been for over a year. She's like, I know if I made this switch, I would save $1,200 a year. And she hasn't done it. Why? Because in her words, I'm lazy, right? And so am I, right? But like, something needs to be acted on your behalf to be executing your will across the internet, right? And so that's what we want to become.
I love it.
Yeah,
dude, like, always have so much fun talking to you. Such a dynamic and different thinker. I always tell him and others, it's like I always end up in these crazy conversations because my mind spins the other way, and yours does too, man. And I enjoy it so much talking with you. So super congrats to you. Like, all you guys just had wild success, and I know so much effort and so methodical about everything that you've done, and also just, being an open and active thinker. So super kudos and props. Proud of you guys. Way to go. Always here for you.
You should claim half my knowledge, guys. We learn these things together. So anyways, appreciate you.
All right. We'll catch you next time, buddy.
See ya.
Would you look at that? I'll kill your light. All right. Lights, camera, action.
I'll tell you what, I probably filled about 10 of these notebooks with notes.
I have tons,
Volumes of ideas.
more than like 3 lifetimes worth of ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just happy I won't be around here to work on
I certainly won't.
enough.
Yeah. Got to sell these notebooks one day to somebody. These are
Yeah,
the
keep them
bright
in a safe
ideas.
deposit box.
You know, look and go, that was old fashioned.
Yeah.
That was outdated. Yeah.
Carry money with a covered wagon? That'll never work.
That'll never work. You have a strong box and a shotgun, man.
That'll never work. Ugh.
So you're going to string a wire across the whole United States to tell people, bip, 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 bip.
This is a terrible idea.
That's a dumbass idea.
No. Fire sounds dangerous.
Yeah. And then we have 1033.
Mhm.
That's a great idea.
Here we are.
Let's go faster.
What great fun. The thing that gets me is it's like stories that should be the story of the decade, and there's like 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Maybe it's exciting. I'm just glad we're just like the data guys watching it all, and I'm not actually participating this time. It'd be a scary time to be a participant
right.
in almost any fashion. I'm scared enough being like in the business of watching it. It's scary, you know? I got a thumbs
Actually,
up. Is Jordan here? No?
One of the things I'm interested to watch it is the FinTechs reaction when somebody asks them for their data.
Hold on, I see 2 participants. It could be Jordan. I think he's here, but invisible.
Just like his ass.
Uh-huh. I thought about asking him like a tough question, like, so, you know, a lot of good things going around about your competition. What do you have to say? Just to see if he would throw dirt at somebody, because you know he won't. He's too nice. Nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
They're pretty different though, you know? I mean,
Gentlemen, you were like, does Jordan know how to connect a microphone? What is this guy doing?
there you go, man.
Wow, you're halfway there.
Yes. No, you're just gonna make the ghost appear.
Yeah, exactly. Give me 1 second. I got a mic for podcasts. And
Cool.
so it's supposed to be really good. We'll see.
Yeah.
You sound great.
We did the same thing, man. And then we were like, with the hassle of getting everything set up every time, we're like, yeah, who cares?
For the 2 of you? Yeah, I bet.
It's a mess. Yeah, get 2 guys mic'd up and then get it connected, and then you get different audio and visual files. And it's like, yeah,
We got these little
That's-
mics
those are
that,
good.
that work outside. That was pretty neat. I did it in front of a lake. With
It was like
a
Tahoe
windy day.
with like a 50-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah,
It was cool.
worked.
That is amazing. Oh, camera. Am I coming through okay on sound?
There
Yeah.
we go.
You sound great, man.
Got his
Great.
I want an atomic hat.
I know.
That's
That's so
cool,
cool.
man.
Got this one just for you guys. It's the wear it one time hat because it's white.
You get one little bit of bird blood on there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a-
over.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, not for hunting season.
That's
Yeah.
right.